Okay, here we are for SiGMA Summit and with a great panel on HR. Let's cut to the chase and dive right into it. Martin and Erik, question one. In 3 words, what are 3 features that a $1 million team must possess? Martin, you go first.
I think we need to be agile. I think we need alignment across everybody within the team. And I think we need to be humble.
Okay, Erik.
Good question. I think for me the most important thing is trustworthiness and optimism and energy. Just have those 3 things, you'll get a long way.
Okay, great features, but is it realistic with different people, different dynamics, different personalities? Erik?
Yeah, I would definitely say it is. For me, I think as long as you communicate well, which is the trickiest part, but if you're trustworthy and honest and you're open in your communication, I think that you can accomplish anything with pretty much any group of people.
Yeah, and one word that neither of you mentioned is the word leadership. Don't you think that the kind of leader of the team will play an important role for this?
Well, I think everybody needs to take a role in leadership rather than just one particular person. If everybody takes that as part of their responsibility, then actually having one individual at the peak isn't as important.
Yeah. Erik, your take on this?
I like Martin's take. I mean, I consider everyone to be a leader. I think for me, we're just leaders in different areas of life. Sometimes we just lead ourselves, and sometimes we lead millions of people. But I believe all of us are always leaders in some areas of our lives and always followers in some areas of our lives.
Yeah.
So I definitely see leadership being a necessity, but I don't think it's possible to even try without leadership, because I don't think you'll find any people who are never leaders.
Yeah, fine, cool. Let's go to question 2. We have a lot to discuss in a short time, and I'd like to keep the momentum. We're talking about iGaming sector here. There is harsh competition between iGaming companies to attract talent with, unfortunately, substantial poaching at times. There are also different schools of thought. Should I poach, have someone who's good, proven and ready, or should I nurture? What's your take on this?
So I've been suffering through what poaching can lead to. I think one of the main downsides of having a business in Malta, where my previous business was that everyone else was there too. So there was always someone poaching and something happening. Today, my approach to this is I want to create a business that is so different from everything else, that attracts so different people than all other companies, that it's more or less impossible to poach the people, because they're there for the greater cause. They're there for that team rather than for their individual journey. And if you focus enough on creating a business that stands out for itself, that people make a mission to be a part of, then poaching isn't a problem anymore.
Okay. Martin?
Yeah, I think that's a great answer, Erik. I've spoken a lot over the years about purpose-led activity in terms of trying to hire. Over the last 15 years, we've worked in a candidate-driven market, which makes that very, very difficult, especially if you want to achieve your goals quickly and you want to be agile and work towards things. But the fact of the matter is if you do have a purpose as an organization, then you're more likely to get the type of people that you want on board, and they're less likely to leave. So totally agree with you, Erik.
Yeah, so how...
Yeah,
Sorry, Erik, go.
I think one of the challenges in the gaming industry is the constant urgency. Like, everyone wants to grow quick. Everyone wants to scale quick. I've never heard a company talk about like a 10-year plan for anything, and like recruiting with a 10-year plan. I mean, when I used to hire people, I used to think of, I really want this person to be the right one so you can put this problem away and move on, which meant to a lot of mistakes in hires and a lot of rushed hires. So you end up with the wrong people for the wrong spot because of that urgency. And to me, this is typical for the entire gaming industry, more or less. I've been too urgent when I've been hiring, but also seen lots of people working with me, or that has been working with me, that's been getting very senior positions elsewhere, that were completely underqualified, and no one even tried to check the references with me, for example. So I can see that other organizations don't really do much reference checks either.
Yeah, but are millennials ready for a 10-year plan? I mean, employ someone today, a 25-year-old with a 10-year plan. Good luck.
So personally, I believe that if a company has a long-year plan, it's inspirational, and people will want to stay. I mean, the way I'm building Great right now is that I want everyone to join in to stay for 50 years, because that's kind of my own time span. I see this as a 50-year mission, and I make all the decisions based on a 50-year mission. And it's very, very rare. And sure, lots of people don't resonate with that, and lots of people wouldn't start working with us. But there are also many people out there who look for a bigger picture, who looks for a longer term mission, who loves the long-term thinking. And I think the long-term thinking is something that's missing in our society in general.
Yeah, I agree with this. So Martin, following on Erik's kind of input here, what would you do as an HR specialist as well to retain talent besides salaries and wages? Because even with COVID now, what are budgets?
Okay, so you have the purpose, first of all. You need to keep people challenged. If you're going to have a 50-year plan, like Erik pointed out, okay, the trick to that is that the individual continues to grow, but within that same organization. Often when people leave a position and go to another organization, it's because they're not feeling challenged anymore. So if you maintain that element of challenge within their role, then they're more likely to stay. So you need to focus upon that. But then we need to start talking about things like flexibility as well. It's becoming very pertinent that working from home, the data says that a lot of people much prefer it. It's better for the environment. So therefore you have that purpose-led element again. And if you can adjust and everybody doesn't necessarily need to be in the office, then it plays into people's lives. And then people can build their life around their job rather than their job around their life.
Yeah. So Erik, with this remote working, COVID has been a catalyst for this. I know iGaming companies were already a bit flexible in certain working arrangements, sometimes more than traditional companies. iGaming companies were also very agile to quickly adapt to this COVID-19 home remote working approach. But are the pros, are the cons? Isn't working together in a physical office as a team better? Are we going to miss something?
I mean, I completely agree with what Martin just touched upon, that the importance is that we challenge each other and that we can have this flexibility. And with flexibility comes so many things. And just as you touch upon here, Jonathan, is that there is ups and downs with it. And for me, having a remote organization, it completely outweighs the negatives once you get it going, but it's really, really hard. And no one has really figured this out. Well, no one. Very few companies have figured out how to do this. We are fully remote, but we're only 8 people, and we still struggle with how to have our meeting culture, how to make people feel seen and heard and feel safe. I think something that we didn't touch upon in the question of how to keep people is, how do we get people to feel safe? How do people feel that they can have a belonging with a group and that they can actually talk to people about the hard stuff in life? Like, how do you get a group where people open up about divorces, and where the manager, the leader, might actually talk about their sick child in front of people, and that's an environment that is encouraged and okay. And I think this is the most crucial part in terms of building a sustainable team, because a team is not just people working together. A team is people who trust each other. And it's really hard to build trust when you don't meet each other. So I think that this is the biggest challenge when it comes to a remote organization. How do you create an environment where people feel the same sense of belonging and trust and willingness to open up about the hard things in life and the real things in life, not just office talk?
Yeah, agreed. I mean, I think trust in leading teams is the $1 million kind of word here. In fact, Google had done a great exercise on the concept of psychological safety in teams, And this is part of trust, the learning zone, being able to work together to achieve more, even doing mistakes. So now post-COVID with remote working, do you think that companies, even iGaming companies, are going to remain with this setup or go back to pre-COVID times? What's your take, Martin?
I think what you'll find is that off the bat it will be some sort of hybrid, okay? Because when we first went into COVID, there was individuals in every organisation that weren't set up in order to work from home. So there's a small percentage, about 20%, that don't feel as productive when they're working from home. They might have kids who are having to school online at the moment. They might not have the infrastructure within their apartment or their house. So there is a percentage of every organisation where working from home doesn't necessarily work. So I think what you'll find is that a hybrid model where some of these individuals will go back. I understand that you can't be at full capacity in the office in any case. There's still going to have to be social distancing, etc. So I think the ones that have the infrastructure at home and have found themselves more productive and managed to build their job around their life rather than their life around their job, okay, I think you'll find that they'll continue to work from home, and they'll really continue to embrace this flexibility.
Okay. I wonder if Erik?
Yeah, I agree with Martin. I think, so I've read this thing that after COVID, there will be two kinds of people. Those who believe that everything is about remote work, and those who have small kids at home. And I think that makes a lot of sense. Like, it's very easy. I don't have kids. It's very easy for me to say remote job is the future, but I haven't been working from home with 3 kids running around and trying to make sense out of that. I believe that most companies will go back to still a mostly in the office kind of culture, but there will be a bit more remote than it was previously. And I think that we will see companies splitting up in either being a remote first organization or an office first organization. I think it depends a lot about what the founders want.
Yeah.
So for me, my intention when I started Great was that we need to have an office. And when we were 2 people, I realized I don't want to sit in an office. I want to work from home whenever I do. And if it doesn't even work for 2 people to meet, then we're definitely not going to make this work. So it's kind of come from my intrinsic eager need of working remotely. That's how I want to work. Then that becomes the way we build the entire organization, and we attract the people who wants that. I think it's really hard to go from having an office and an office culture into working fully remotely. But if you're fully remotely from day one, you need to do the meetings in a fully remote manner. You need to attract people who wants to work like that. You need to put systems in place so you can create this kind of safety and honest and trustworthy environment that you can have around the water cooler, where you can actually see on someone's face that they're not having the best energy, or you can feel there's something in the air, which is really hard if you're only talking to each other an hour every now and then on Zoom.
Yeah. So if there's a team leader listening and watching us discuss this, can you give him one tip or give her one tip that she has to start doing by managing remote teams more effectively? One tip each, maybe?
Well, my advice would be that you can't take the way that you did things in the office into remote. It's an entirely different scenario. So therefore, understand where your teams, where they require the communication. Communication has to increase tenfold when you're working remote.
Yeah.
Because if it doesn't, then you lack that alignment that I spoke about earlier. So therefore, my advice would be don't think that you can replicate what you do in the office in a remote world.
Yeah. Erik, your tip?
Yeah, so we're doing something which is quite out of the ordinary. We start all of our meetings. So when we have Zoom calls with a lot of people in the team, we start all our meetings with what we call a check-in process, which is everyone starts by talking for 30 seconds to a minute about where they are emotionally in their lives right now. And that could be something small, like I haven't really slept well lately because of this or that, or it could be something huge like I just had a baby, my life is falling apart, I don't know what to do, I'm just fighting with the missus all the time. and kind of give that space. And everyone starts by giving a percentage between 1 and 100 of their kind of current energy level and presence. So we get an idea how distracted people are or how well they're feeling, which is something that you would sense in a normal room pretty easily, like who is doing what, where are people, but something that's easy to miss out on in a remote organization. And it's something where the leader really needs to take charge and be the one who dares to be open and vulnerable, who actually dares to talk about the real problems in life. Because otherwise, everyone is just going to check in saying, I'm good. Martin is good. Jonathan is good. But actually open up and share like, okay, guys, I'm going through something rough right now. My grandmother is dying and it really bothers me to see my father looking at her.
Yeah.
Like daring to say those things, I think creates a bond in a remote organization that is really hard to create otherwise.
Yeah. That's great.
Do you see any negative impact on that, Erik? Because it's not normal that you say it's quite out there, right?
So once again, we attract people who want this kind of environment. I'm pretty sure that some people don't want to be a part of that environment and don't feel safe to be a part of this environment. But we even record our meetings and we post them on YouTube because we want people to be able to see this. And we've managed to accomplish a really safe organization where one teamer and teammate not long ago, and I dare to say this because he posted it on YouTube himself. He actually brought up in his check-in that the sex life with his girlfriend doesn't work right now, and he's feeling very frustrated about that they're not making any progress. And that's something he said in front of the entire team, but it has taken us a long time to reach a point where people feel safe enough to bring those things up. And I'm sure that bringing a new people into this environment could be very tricky, and it has that downside, but it comes with the upside of everyone feeling very safe and trusted with each other.
Okay. So, thanks for sharing, both of you. So let's go to another question. It's a bit of an offshoot about remote working as well and COVID. So with more freelancers working from home as well, some people lost their jobs, some people looking at other opportunities. Do you think that iGaming companies should also look at talent, managed services, or through Upwork or Fiverr, like services on demand? What's your take on this, rather than people in full-time employment?
So personally, my experience with hiring, especially if you're a small company, my experience with hiring designers and programmers and stuff is that once you build the entire product, there is so much work to be done. So it's easy to end up hiring more people than you need. And then at least I did the mistake of trying to keep them busy. I spent a lot of my time thinking about what kind of projects can they do, what can they design. So me as a leader take a lot of my time to come up with ideas that we actually don't really need, and they end up doing busy work because we really needed them when we built the first large-scale product. So I think holding back on recruitment and using designers or freelancers one way or another when you're scaling up is very valuable, because it's easy to believe that that huge need will maintain, but a lot of the time it fluctuates over time.
Okay.
What's your take, Martin?
Yeah. No, I agree. I think the ability to scale up and scale down quickly is really important. And not just for a startup, but even for established corporate organizations. Like you said, you think the work is going to continue forever, but that's not necessarily the fact, particularly if you're building a platform or a product. Once you've got it and then it needs to be maintained, the requirement to develop it isn't quite as high. So to be able to outsource when you do have a requirement and keep your business lean, and I think this is, if you spoke to the majority of founders within the iGaming industry, many of them would say that they wish that they'd kept their operation much leaner than they did, and ended up probably a little bit overstaffed and in a bit of difficulty from a headcount perspective. So yeah, no, I totally agree with you, Erik.
Cool. All right. So we're rounding up. We're nearing to the end. We spoke about companies and leaders. What can team members do? Give me one word each that a team member must do to enter the $1 million team.
Okay, I think they have to be committed to the goal.
Yeah, Erik?
Committed.
Communicate well. That's 2 words. Communicate.
Communicate. Okay. Guys, I must say easily, this has been a great gig. So, so thanks for your time. And I hope we added some value out there. And yeah, looking forward to meet you in person as well.
Thank you, Jonathan. Have a lovely day.
Cheers.
Yeah, all the best.